CHGO After Dark, Hard Knocks Edition, powered by ComEd. As always, we love ComEd. Frankly, I love that my power's on right now, thanks to ComEd, because of the storms that came through a little bit earlier tonight. Braggs is stopped sweating from all the shit he talked a couple weeks ago about how cool his satellite dish was. Well, it almost didn't work tonight, did it, buddy?
Yeah, I got lucky. I got lucky. It stayed north on the lake. I saw David Kaplan couldn't get in his house, though. That's what you guys get for living in the palatial estates that you guys live in.
Well, you know, that's a simple matter of carry a key with you. So when your power doesn't work, you're not relying on getting in your garage door. What's going on, everyone? Adam Hoge, Corey Wootton, Greg Braggs Jr., Nicholas Moreano with you. It's been a day, and that was an emotional episode of Hard Knocks, to be honest with you. I kind of want to cry right now, guys. Lot to get to, a lot of notes. We are here tonight, and we will be with you for at least the next hour, recapping what we just watched on Max, and we are powered by ComEd tonight. I'll just start with my instant reaction because I feel like a lot of us are gonna be on the same page here, but that Ian Wheeler stuff was hard to watch, man. That is as raw as it gets in the NFL. Guys fighting for their jobs. You got the Hard Knocks cameras rolling because they already had the storyline set up, right? Like, this is a guy who's fighting for his job. If there's any criticism I have of Hard Knocks over the years, it's kind of like it becomes a very cookie cutter at the end of each season. It's kind of the same storyline. It's just you change the characters. And, you know, you got his mom mic'd up and he's mic'd up, and you set it up with Chad Morton just on his ass constantly. And then it ends the way it did, which we all knew was coming because we heard the news over the weekend that he tore his ACL in that game. But, you know, HBO didn't know that when they mic'd everyone up going into that game. And so to see that, like, his mom get the text in the middle of the game, and that's the longest hug I've ever seen. I lost my mom a long time ago. It just made me want to hug my mom so bad. That was hard to watch, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. I got emotional watching it.
Yeah, I think that was definitely tough to watch because I was in his shoes back in college when I tore my ACL. And I remember I was coming out that year projected as a potential first-round pick. And I just remember they called. My parents tell the story. They called. It was at the Alamo Bowl. We played Chase Daniel, Jeremy Maclin. Last 2 minutes of the game, I go to get my third sack. I get pulled from behind. I'm on the turf. And my parents said, yeah, they called them and said, hey, it's not good. You got to come down. And I just remember the trainers telling me after doing the ACL test, like, you tore your ACL. I thought it was a bad dream. I just started crying. I remember I hugged my parents, and it was just, it felt like a bad dream. And I know where he was, and he had such a great training camp, and he was being such a likable guy that everybody, you know, rallied behind it. He had immense talent and speed, and it's just like in this league, in general in football, right? You have limited opportunities to be able to capitalize on it, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully, we'll see him again. We just don't know. I mean, there's so many talented people in this league. I hope it's not the last we see of him. But even the Colbert piece, right, about him almost losing his life. I mean, just very emotional episode in general, and you know how thankful he is for every day. And I think things like that, like, put things in perspective when we're, you know, dealing about our regular, oh, this sucks or that sucks. It's all about perspective and kind of how you live your life and what you're grateful for. And I think we all have to stop, take a breath, and sometimes just be thankful for what we all have.
No, yeah, I mean, perfectly said there, Wood. And, you know, even when Ian's mom's like, why are you limping? Like, that got me right there. Like, you can hear it in her voice as Ian Wheeler's going to the sideline. Like, that was tough to see. But, you know, I really like the perspective that, you know, Adrian Colbert just kind of goes about his everyday life, you know, not having the shoes on, staying grounded and kind of getting the energy from the earth, and, you know, showing the bike ride to Hallis Hall that he takes to get to practice. Like, you don't hear about those stories other than like a Hard Knocks, a setting like this. So it was good to kind of highlight those things. And then he made a couple of really good plays in that Chiefs game, breaking up the pass, that would have, it saved a touchdown and then set up Reddy Steward for the pick 6 by coming off the edge. Like, again, Adrian Colbert, we know his fate because we knew the roster, but he did make it, I think, tough on the coaching staff because of the game that he played. But yeah, definitely 2 heartfelt kind of characters to watch in this episode of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, we had Ian Wheeler on over the summer, and you could see just how thoughtful of a young man that he is, and someone that's easy to root for, on a team that has a lot of different personalities, and you see the camaraderie of this Chicago Bears team coming together here. But I've always been somebody, when I go to training camp, it's fun to see the big superstars, but training camp's all about those guys at the back end of the roster trying to make a spot. And it's fun to root for those guys because you see how bad they're working to get it. They're not getting anything. You saw, what did he say? $7,500 is what he got as a rookie bonus. Like, these guys are literally fighting for their livelihood. The other guys at the top of the roster, they're going to be all right. Their generations of their family ahead are going to be all right. He's fighting to have that luxury. He doesn't have it yet. So for all the people I used to work with, old timers, they're playing the NFL, boo-hoo. Well, it's not like that. That's not how it works for everybody in the NFL. Not everybody's, Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen, right? So Ian Wheeler, is right on the precipice of making the team potentially, and you see how it all is gone in a second. And it's as simple as a helmet to the knee. It wasn't like it was, we've seen worse, hits to the knee, but that's all it takes, and my wife was sitting with me and she was like, wow, I can't believe he tore his ACL. And I'm like, well, helmet on knee, your foot's planted and personally, we've been talking about it here on the show. I just had ACL surgery here 2 days or Friday. I've lost track of my days now, on Friday. And I would have never imagined how much it was going to hurt afterwards. And in fact, I'm glad no one told me because it's brutal, and the pain, there's no escaping that pain. It is brutal and it's relentless. It just you have to just live with it and learn to. Now I just had my first physical therapy session today, and you slowly work your way back. I have no feeling on the entire front of my knee and halfway down my leg. And I asked them, I go, when am I going to get feeling back? Assuming they were going to say like 2 weeks. And they said about 6 months. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that. That was the answer to that. So, like you said, you don't take these things for granted. You appreciate what you have. And, I'm thankful it wasn't worse. I'm sure Ian is trying to look on the positive side of things. If you watch his interview with us, I think he's that type of person that's going to try to find the positives from this. And that's what he said to Ryan Poles. I'm going to use this as a redshirt year and work on things mentally. But man, yeah, to your guys' point, that was just a gut-wrenching moment. But I also think is what makes this show special, and why going to training camp for me is always something I appreciated, because you go beyond the fantasy football lineup. You go beyond, the stats and what you see on TV, and you start rooting for the human beings and see that they have families at camp that come that are, it means a lot to them on a level that I think a lot of fans just don't appreciate, because we all just want to see the Bears win a Super Bowl. And so you got to see that on full display. And I think that's going to make, if it wasn't for Hard Knocks, would Chicago Bears Nation really rally around him, not knowing the full extent of the story. And now I think when he comes to camp next year, he's going to be a fan favorite, because we all know what he just went through and what he's going to go through here over the next 12 months.
Yeah, I was very happy that they showed that scene with Ryan Poles in his office, because I've always kind of imagined how those conversations go. But in this case was already thinking about it, like understanding. To me, Ian Wheeler was somebody that, had he not gotten hurt, was going to get cut anyway. Maybe ended up back on the practice squad, which would have been, obviously better than this outcome, because you still get to practice, you'd still get to develop all those things. But you never know. You're never safe on the practice squad. Maybe you get claimed somewhere else and it's not as good of a fit. Like, guys, their careers just sort of deteriorate quickly because of circumstance sometime. So if there was one silver lining here, it was that, I somewhat joked the other day there's two guys that I know tore their ACLs that'll be at training camp next year, and that's Ian Wheeler and Greg Braggs Jr. They'll both be there. They're not going away. They're still going to be there next year. And that, I don't know, that would have been a guarantee otherwise. So it doesn't make you feel any better about it, but there is a silver lining to that at least. And so I'm glad they showed that scene between Poles and Wheeler to kind of like let the public understand some of those circumstances that go into that Woot.
Yeah, I think at any time, you have a coach like Poles, man, he really cares about the guys, and you could tell that. It's refreshing because a lot of times, like GMs and not to name drop or diss anybody, but there were some people that were GMs. Phil Emery, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm talking negatively. I don't know if he really cared about the guys like Poles does. I'm just being honest and not trying to knock him, but I think there's something refreshing about this because football is a business, right? At the end of the day, it is a business like any other job out there, but it's been known for being cutthroat. So the way he operates, the way he does stuff, like the Wheeler example, or even Justin Fields, right? He probably could have got a better pick for him, but he wanted him to be in a situation that was better for him. So I think that's really refreshing to have a guy to be like, you know what? I want what's best for my players, whether or not they're going to be here or not. I want to do best by them. I want the best for them. And Poles seems like an awesome guy. The way the moves that he's starting to stack up and how he's building this team and the players around it, I think it's the mark of hopefully what can be a dynasty here in Chicago. That's really what I'm hoping.
And real quick,
go ahead.
Real quick though, Nick. I mean, to your point on that, having covered the entire time Phil Emery was the GM, like, let's be honest, he treated the players like they were just chess pieces, just these little magnets I have in front of me right now on the board. Like, and that's about as important as some of the guys were. I mean, one of the biggest travesties was how the end of Brian Urlacher's time with the Bears ended with an email that went out. Like, sure. That's ridiculous. You're talking about one of the best players that's ever played for the franchise, and that just type of stuff cannot happen. And so I think we already sort of knew that about Ryan Poles without Hard Knocks, but to see it on Hard Knocks that you got a GM who's preaching what is constantly said in the building too, and like the stuff he said on Hoge and Johns last week, that it's all about people, that in any workplace, like it's all about the people you're working with. That is very, very refreshing. And that might sound maybe somewhat naive in football a little bit, but I think when you start to build that and you see, like you played for Lovie Smith, you saw like how that culture started coming together because it was people treating people like people. Then you have a level of respect and you start to fight for each other more and more, right?
Exactly. And I think there's a way to still treat it like a business, but be a person, right? Show compassion, show that you care for people. And I just think too many times throughout the league, you just see so many people, like you said, treating these players like chess pieces. At the end of the day, right, this is a small portion of our life, right? Playing in the NFL, whether or not you play for 1 year, you play for 15 years, you play for 20, right? We're all a part of that brotherhood. And I think everybody wants the same thing, right? They want to live out their childhood dream. They want to have a great experience. They want to play with great teammates. Everybody wants to win a Super Bowl. So my thing is just like this: lift everybody up, encourage people. And regardless of how you feel about that person as a player, right, at the end of the day, I think you just should want what's best. And that always doesn't happen because you've seen it left and right. And even like the Urlacher thing, the fact that they couldn't give him like, what was it, like $500,000 or $1 million extra for arguably one of the greatest linebackers to ever play the game, the face of the franchise, the most recognizable linebacker in the NFL history. You couldn't meet him halfway and just say, listen, you know what? Maybe I don't think you're worth this, but hey, listen, you've done so much for this organization. You've done so much for football. Here, Brian, let's ride you off into the sunset. It's your last go around. Let's have this historic year with you. But he couldn't do that. And that's the part that's so, and literally that whole regime, you look at, we had the biggest turnover at any team. I think, what was it, like 2015 or 2016, Jay Cutler, Kyle Long, and Sherrick McManus were the only 3 people on the team. It was like the biggest turnover like we've seen in a while. So it's just,
yeah,
it was such a weird time, but I think everything happens for a reason. And now we're back to this point with Poles, and I think he's going to lead us to the promised land. Made a bunch of moves, and he keeps stacking up, and he's building the culture. And the culture is what's going to make the difference to wins and losses. People say, no, you got to have – no, yes, you have to have talented people. You have to have great coaches. You have to have great players. But the chemistry, the camaraderie, that all translates to wins, you know.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, more on that, and we'll break down some of the other – there's a lot of things we got to get to in this episode. But first, it is getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
That's right. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do?
They should go to comed.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to comed.com/clean.
Did you say comed.com/clean?
That's right. I did. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
All right. Let's continue. And dare we say we go into our Bragsy awards from this episode. The Bragsies, you know, everyone's talking about the Bragsies. They're the next big award show that's coming. And people, yeah, like Devon in the comments says, I can't wait for the Bragsies. People are looking forward to this. And you don't have to wait for it annually. You get it weekly here during Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gregory, what was
sir.
the best moment of tonight's show?
Well, yeah, my best moment, as we were going through this thing, and like I said, I'm going to go through each one. So don't yell at me if you're like, oh, that one should make it. It might still make the cut. It just might
we
be
can yell at you if we want to.
Not allowed to yell at me. Best moment for me personally was the Austin Reed being afraid of the sky deck. It was hilarious and relatable for me personally. I once upon a time asked my wife to marry me on that very same sky deck, and she refused to go out on the glass. I had this whole thing set up, a whole weekend.
I thought she refused to marry you.
Yeah, well, that would have been smarter, but she refused to go out on the glass. So I had the ring hidden in my pocket. I'm like trying to, like, when we got out of the cab, I'm like trying to get her to go on the opposite side so she doesn't see the ring bulge in my back pocket. Then we go up to the top floor.
How big was this ring?
Ring bulge.
Big ass ring.
You have a ring pop, boy?
Yeah.
A big ass ring. Let me get through the goddamn story. So we get to the top finally, and I'm ready to ask her, and I'm like, come out here. And she's like, no. She like pulls her. She's like, I'm not going out there. I'm like, yes, you are. I got these other kids, because I asked these group of kids, I'm like, hey, I'm about to ask my wife to marry me. Will you take a picture when I surprise her? And they're like, sure. And now I'm fighting her to come out on the glass. This is typical me and Jenny, for anybody that knows us. And so then I pull the ring out, and she looks at me and goes, get up. Stop messing with me. I'm like, Jenny, I am literally asking to marry you right now. We are doing this. And she's like, then she finally realized it was a real thing. And so that's our story. So watching them go up there, watch Austin Reed have the same reaction that Jenny had. Yes, I said ring bulge, Nick. Grow up, all right, Nick Moreano. Jesus.
Wait, can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
So were you a big prankster? Like, you have a ring, you're on all on your knee.
No,
like...
my wife never believes anything I say. Now it's my daughter. I'm always messing with them at all times. Yeah. So it's anytime I'm trying to be serious, I can never get anyone to take me serious.
So she really would have thought you would have got on your knee with a ring and be like, psych, gotcha. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Oh, okay.
100%. I mean, I'm an evil person. Like, there's some people out here that think I'm like this nice guy. I'm not. I'm very evil. Adam and Nick can attest to this. So, best character. I'm going with the Chad Morton versus Ian Wheeler, rivalry that's been going on for 3 or 4 episodes now. It was nice to see Jennifer King play the good cop role here. She starts to get a little bit of a spotlight on the show, but Ian embracing that, rookie hazing, so to speak, being tough on him on the field, being tough on him when he's practicing his rookie song. So it was, I'm enjoying that. Chad Morton is certainly, making his presence felt here on this Hard Knocks series. So that's my best character for the night. Biggest surprise, I don't know if anybody else caught it, but we did get a curse word on Hard Knocks tonight. They said ass. I don't know if they realized that slipped through the cutting room floor. I know I don't know if this show is going to be banned, in perpetuity, but we did get one curse word for those of you that are calling this this series this season soft knocks, because
is ass a curse word though?
Who said ass?
Yeah, who said ass? Where did ass come up?
Somebody said ass. It was early in the show. So a lot of fans were very excited about ass making it on the show.
But I don't think ass is a curse word, bro.
I don't, but I know if my daughter said that, then she's getting yelled at. So that's how I, as a dad now, define what is and isn't a curse word.
Very happy about ass making it on the show. Ring bulge. We are very.
Yeah,
there's only.
It's been a long day. Wait, I need to know who said it though. I want to make sure. Did they get cut?
Yeah, I don't know. TV17 says Travis probably. Devin Kidwell says I think it was Chad Morton. So I can't. It probably was.
He was on the hot seat.
Speaking of Wheeler, did y'all know the song that he was singing? Do you know who sang that?
It's Chief Keef.
Nick, I know you know it. I was asking them.
Yeah, no,
y'all didn't.
No, of course we didn't, and neither did any of the white people in that room. That was one of the funniest things that was going on in that scene, if we're being honest.
Yeah, y'all were like, "What the heck is?"
Flus was like, "Great job," and I'm like, Flus had no idea what just happened.
I knew it was Chief Keef, but I can't tell you the name of the song. But if it came on the radio, I can sing it now.
Okay, Brad.
Now. Were they singing it like where it was even recognizable? Like it really because they were all screaming it. So it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because I told Jenny, I was like, you'd know it if you heard it on the radio. Mm-hmm. But it turned up the whole room. It was cool to see him use the smoke machine and the dollars. Everybody was getting hyped. Tyson, grabbing for the dollars. So
and you know what? Bayless was his hype man. Speaking of a good teammate, he was right there with Ian Wheeler. Up in front of the stage, I respect that from Bayless.
I actually thought that was cool that Chad Morton and Jennifer King were coaching him up on that.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, what is going on in this position room? What? They're practicing entrances into the running backs room? What is? And then I realized, they're practicing for the rookie show. And it seemed to pay off.
Mr. Simster in the chat says, someone say soft knocks one more time and I will be calling the CIA on you. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Simster.
So Brad, question for you real quick.
Yes, sir.
If you had one song, right? Let's say, you got to do it in front of CHGO, right? Mm-hmm. What is the song you're going to do so we can boo the hell out of you? What song?
Well, I recently sang Metallica and I killed it. I did. Yeah. I recently sang Metallica on a pregame show and I killed it. And everyone in the chat, I sang Fuel and I nailed it. Corey, thank you very much. And everybody was saying I'm a much better singer than Mark Harmon, who is our resident singer and resident idiot. So
that's me saying I'm a better golfer than you. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, well, you know what? As they say, show me. So now my go-tos would probably be Creedence Clearwater Revival, some Bob Seger, Metallica.
I see you doing Creed or something with arms wide open.
Guy. I'm very eclectic with my song choices. Sometimes I listen to country, sometimes I listen to old school rock, sometimes I listen to rap. So
I think a certain producer might have a little clue.
Yeah. Let's see this real quick.
Here we go. Well, I burn. Fuel is pumping engines.
Quench my thirst with gasoline. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Fuel, hit me. Ba-da-na-na-na. You.
Oh my God.
Good shit. That's good shit.
Man, you need some Taco Bell, man.
Yeah. We're getting back into the season where we need the ISO cam on me where I die inside.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be in the studio with y'all. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, this season's gonna be lit. This season is gonna be lit. No doubt.
Brad's gonna be there with his walker and his crutches.
I know.
Yeah, it's all right though. You can prop the leg up. We'll put a pillow up there for you.
Yes, sir.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
finishing
Comfortable.
finishing off the Bragsies here. We've been through it here in the first segment. Obviously, worst moment of the night. Ian Wheeler's injury, everything that led up to it. You know it's coming. And it was just it was tough. Bears on Kawhi saying Brags would do milkshake. I can rock that song. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of had to brace Jenny for that moment because she was enjoying the Ian Wheeler story. But shout out to him. I know he's going to be having surgery soon. Like I said, we had him on the show over the summer, so sent him some well wishes the other day, and it seems like he's in good spirits. So here's to speedy recovery for him. We look forward to seeing him at camp next year.
100%. That's man, that's as real as it gets, man. With the final, yeah. I'm like, what are we gonna watch next week? There's one more episode. Is it gonna be all cut downs?
Probably. It would probably be those meetings with polls, and I think that'd be like that. That's always the hardest part when you watch it. I remember, as a kid when the Ravens were the first episode and seeing those cut downs. And then when you're a part of the league, you see, when guys come out of the room sometimes crying because they know that's the last time they're ever going to play football. And like, as a football player, I mean, your whole identity most of your life is, hey, Corey, the football player, I'm Brian, the football player. And then all of a sudden, right, that reality can come to an end when you're 22, 23 years old, when you think, hey, man, I'm gonna play in the league for a couple of years, and even if people have long careers, everybody's career comes to an end at some point. And I think it's a tough pill to swallow. And shoot, I remember when I retired, I was like, the first couple of months, I remember watching a preseason game, and I cried, and I was like, what the heck is it? There's just so much emotion. And then a couple of months went by, and you're good. And I think it's just something that you have to wrestle with yourself. You're like, man, I've always been Corey, the football player. And like you tell people, hey, did you play in the league? I used to. And that for me, I was like, used to what? Now I'm like, nah, I enjoy the life I live now. And I think, I definitely feel a lot better on Mondays. That's one good thing. Because I think people don't realize, man, you get beat up. It's like getting in car wrecks. I think they say, it's getting in like 10 plus car wrecks in a game, especially if you're playing 35, 40, 50 plays a game, it wears on you. And that's why like the whole Ian Wheeler thing, the injuries, like anytime people leave the field, it was just a blessing, because in football, it's just a matter of when. Everybody gets injured at some point in time. And I think football is a sport where you see majority of those injuries just because it's such a physical, it's such a violent game. Yep. So like anytime I get off the field and, even if it was a bad loss, you just got to give thanks, the fact that you were fine. You didn't get injured. You could walk off the field. There was no issues, because I think your health is one of the most important things, especially in a sport like football.
We'll see how you feel on Mondays this year after working with Carmen Braggs on Sundays.
That's gonna be very interesting. I might have to sit in between them. I think I got to do damage control.
I do, yeah.
Good idea. I like that idea. That idea.
Well, we instituted this rule with Nick too. Like we were like, hey man, I gotta be split up from Mark, because when we get next to each other, it turns into this vortex of stupidity that Carm drags me in. I will totally bus toss him while he's not here. It is Carm's fault for any stupidity. I am very smart and would never be stupid if it wasn't for Mark Carmen.
Him and Carmen are like brothers. They're like brothers. Mm-hmm. They like hate each other, but they love each other.
Yep, exactly. They have that relationship.
Plus, Carmen's cheating on us right now. He's at the U.S. Open right now with Nick Wright and Danny Parkins, FS1 superstars. Like, man.
He was wearing a CHGO Bears shirt, though. So.
Oh, yeah. And I texted him earlier to have a guest on Friday and it may or may not have been a suggestion of one of those names you just said, and I never got a response, Adam. And I'm doing a show with him on Friday, trying to get ahead of things, and he doesn't want to respond to me, being all big time with his big time friends. I'll remember this.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, real quick before we get, I'm a stable genius. That's right. Thank you, Mobius. Before we move on to the rest of the show and get some more of our notes in here, just want to remind everybody now is as good a time as ever to become a diehard here at CHGO Sports. If you go to allchgo.com/diehard, you can sign up, get a free shirt right out the gate. We just launched our brand new t-shirt design, Claws Up. It's a really sweet design here to get you ready for game day, get you ready for the season. Only 12 days away, essentially 11 days away from kickoff for the Chicago Bears and the Tennessee Titans week 1. But a lot of great designs we have all across the board. And if you sign up to become a diehard, you can get a free shirt right out the gate and discounts on any future shirts you purchase from our locker, brand new locker, our ALLCITY locker. So you can see all the different stores from all the different cities now that we've just launched in Dallas as well. So things are moving up in the world here for CHGO Sports, but you also get exclusive content when you sign up. Adam Hoge puts out a written newsletter weekly, a lot of exclusive written content, discounts on our tailgates, which are right around the corner. We have tailgates for every single home game. I promise you, these are the tailgates you want to be at if you're going to the game. And even if you're not, you just want to get in the area, come to a tailgate and then go to a bar, for the game, come to our tailgate first, hang out with us. We're going to be there all season long, having a lot of fun with that. So many different, opportunities for you to become a diehard, and it really does pay for itself in a lot of ways. And you're also supporting us in this channel and what we're doing and getting on board while we're growing. And we are growing by the minute, people, and it's an exciting thing. And it's a lot of fun for all of us here. And every single person that's tuned in right now, you're a part of this as well. So we appreciate you. But at the very least, if you can't sign up, hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel also goes a long way in helping us out and growing this brand that we're very proud of.
I will also tease a new little diehard perk that'll be fully announced on tomorrow's episode of the 85 with Cole Kmet, but a way to interact with Cole Kmet, but you have to be a diehard.
We get to go to Cole Kmet's house.
Hey,
no, no, and you definitely.
I am a diehard, so this qualifies. I don't care that I work here. So if that's what it is,
he doesn't like meatballs anyway. Get out of here.
But you have to tune in to the 85. It's dropping tomorrow morning, and go over to that YouTube channel, the 85 with Cole Kmet. Subscribe to the podcast, and Roma Odunze also on that show. So make sure you go check that out. It's dropping in the morning, and you will find out more details on that new diehard perk to interact with that show. Hey, real quick before we get back to some of these Hard Knocks notes I have, Woot, since you're here, I'm just curious if you had any thoughts on the 53-man roster that was announced today, specifically when it came to the defensive ends, because on our show that we did earlier, we thought it was interesting that, after trading for Darrell Taylor from Seattle, they also ended up keeping both Dominique Robinson and Daniel Hardy, who, it seemed like maybe they were battling against each other. And then they made a trade. So then it was like, ooh, I don't know.
Somebody's going to be there.
Yeah, and that they all made it. I'm just curious, maybe in particular, what you saw from Daniel Hardy and Dom Rob in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought I saw improvement from Dom Rob. I didn't know if it was going to be enough for him to stay on the team. But yet again, practices matter and how much he improved. And I guarantee Eric Washington saw some things from him where he's like, hey, he's really taking the next step. He's almost there. Because like I talked about before the beginning of this preseason, this is a critical year for Dom Rob, right? The first 2 years we didn't see as much. We saw him in his first year have that nice first game against the 49ers and then kind of fell off the face of the earth. So I think what happened was they definitely saw a lot of improvement and growth in practice because, he didn't light it up in the preseason games, but I think Coach Washington and some members of the coaching staff definitely saw improvement to warrant him making the team. Because I honestly thought, I was like, there's no chance he makes it, especially like you said, when they traded for Taylor. But who knows? Maybe this could be a situation where, Dominique Robinson could have a bigger role in the rotation. Maybe special teams was a factor in there. Because before I became a starter for the Bears, I played a lot of special teams, punt return, kickoff return. Any way to get on the team, you try to do that. And I think he definitely flashed in some other areas as well.
Yeah, just thought that was interesting. Want to get your thoughts on it. If you want way more analysis and like a full dive on the whole 53, we did a show earlier today. Go back and check that out. When this show is over, it is on the CHGO YouTube channel. A full hour-long show of us breaking down the whole thing because there was some interesting stuff there. All right, let's get back on track here with Hard Knocks and some. I'll tee up some topics with my notes from the show. We did get some closure, I thought, with that whole Odunze in the back of the end zone controversy, because even Ryan Poles was trying to make that end line excuse, and I appreciate his position coach, Chris Beatty, because if you actually do watch the replay, he never looks down at where his feet are. I'm not buying the whole white line thing like it wasn't painted in. He didn't know where he was, and the direct quote from his position coach was, no awareness of where he was.
Yeah, pretty blatant with it too. But hey, Poles tried to give him a little leeway, but like you said, Beatty was like, nah, you gotta know exactly where you're at in the football field.
You can do that in the preseason, right? It's his learning lesson. Don't do that during the regular season. When we have opportunity to win the game on the line, you better step your butt inbounds, toe tap, right inbounds, not on the outside.
Yeah,
don't do it again.
Yeah, shut your mouth, Hoge. All right, we don't care if you're trying to be right here, okay? We are going to give Rome Odunze a pass. It's his first time at Soldier Field. They're not painting in between the lines. We are going to blame Soldier Field because that's way more fun than blaming our baby boy, top 10 pick, star wide receiver, Rome Odunze, Greg Braggs, player side, Adam Hoge, coaches, media side, loser.
Right, stop babying him.
I'm not babying. He gets one pass. That's what I said.
I'm saying he's got to have awareness. He's an elite level receiver. You got to have awareness. In the back end.
Weird how you don't give Velus Jones the same pass.
You know what, Woot? You made a lot of boneheaded plays too, and I always had your back in the day.
I definitely do. And we can talk about them, and we can reenact them if you want when your knees are here. I'll show you a thing or two. Oh, we can do that.
I'm in favor of that.
I mean, hey, you always tell the story before you had the infamous Brett Favre sack. That was the final play of Brett Favre's career. What was the play before that, Woot?
When I was on the sideline, I don't know, looking into space and zoning off, and Julius Peppers was right next to me, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And they took a timeout. Rob Marinelli chewed me out, and I was like, "I got to make something happen." But hey, it happens to the best of us. But
exactly.
There you go.
Oh, because you were. Oh, I get it. Because you were supposed to go in for Julius.
Correct.
So you weren't on the field. Ooh, man.
But who knows?
On After Dark many times. Where
who knows? I mean, Brett Favre would have still been playing to this day. Who knows? Like,
yeah, sure. Don't trust me, man.
True.
There's nothing.
So he burns it. Woot's the reason they burn a timeout. But then the next play, Woot puts Favre on his ass because now he's highly motivated to make up for what just happened. So in an alternate universe, if he had known he was supposed to be out there in the play before, that never happened. So,
everything happens for a reason, Braggs. It really does.
Let me tell you, man, when that punt team takes the field or that field goal team runs out there and there's one guy missing.
And you know what? When my knee gets right, Woot, I don't know if you've seen my drop step, because I did, some combine videos 2 years ago.
Oh God.
When the left tackle out of Ohio State was coming out. And so I think people see the ability that I have. And so I'm not worried about you, to be honest with you.
Braggs is his biggest fan, Ho. He thinks
we all know that.
I'm the best golfer. I'm coming for you, Woot. I'm gonna be out of commission.
Why you gotta use the nerdy white guy voice, okay? All right? Why you gotta use that voice?
Let me show you Braggs' list of fans. Number one, way up here off the screen, is Greg Rags Jr.
Yes.
Somewhere way down here, number 2 is Brandon Spano. And then we start to get down.
Yes. Brandon's
it's gonna be
definitely
all
2.
Greg.
Brandon's 2. This is the great part. Brandon's 2, Jake's 3, and that's a good place to be. Because I'll tell you what, my bricklaying boss fucking hated me. So these guys, I got the bosses on my side over here.
What are you nervous he's gonna listen to you and show up at your house?
Yeah, what are you on Hard Knocks? You're trying to lower the volume on your swear
Bro,
word?
be a man, bro. You supposed to. You in the media, and you got soft. He used to drink brick juice. He used to make videos on Twitter over there.
It's true. It's true. 20 years as a bricklayer, never got hurt once. Had bricks fall on my head, on my feet, on my legs. Never got hurt once.
Dude,
1
you
year
go to a baseball game and people take you out
idiot.
on an escalator. What is?
And I'm down for the count. So you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But Braggs, can I ask one thing, and then we'll get back on topic?
What?
Why do you think you're Tiger Woods at golf? Hoge, I swear he does.
You're gonna find out.
I whooped Hoge, and Hoge has no. I'm coming for you.
Next summer,
I played a public course.
I don't want to hear it. Next summer, I don't want to hear it. Next summer,
next summer, let's go from the tips, and I'll really. Oh, you ain't gonna be able to. Let's go. Let's play from the tip.
I'm worried about Woot because honestly, Carm talked a lot of shit last year when we were in Indy when we were on the course. Literally, Hoge was literally ready to drive off with the cart down the street.
Yep.
And I think Woot's going to be worse about it. Like he's not going to play. He's not going to play a gentleman's game. He's going to be yapping in my ear for 18 holes.
It sounds like somebody's scared because they know their skills. No. I'm sorry. When you hit the driver 210 yards off the tee, playing from the tips, you ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
I mean, if I do have one regret from last week, it's that I didn't really talk any shit the entire round. I didn't even really know what the score was till the 18th hole. And even that seems a little skeptical now. But
oh, here we go.
Nah, I should have gotten in your head the entire time. All right, back to Hard Knocks here, guys. I thought the whole like juxtaposition of Adrian Colbert's like Zen grounding sound bowls, is that what they called them? Sound bowls? Those sound really cool, by the way. And then they cut to Travis Bagent trying to rip some guy's arm off in a bar. Dude, that was super cool because like I don't know anything about arm wrestling, and you could tell like I don't know if he baited him in to that, and then he just put the brakes on, and then he just tired him out, and then he just shut the door on him. That was awesome.
Oh, he played that. He played that. He's like, yep, he got him. He played the bait and switch. That's why you can't arm wrestle people that you don't know because they might mess around and be Travis Bagent, right? Mm-hmm. You look at him like, oh, yeah, he looks like a decently strong guy. I'll beat him. I go to the thing, he over there break my arm or something like that. Those are the ones you got to be careful of. People that don't really look like they can do it are the best arm wrestlers.
So you don't even think you'd have like how do you think you could put up a little bit of a fight? You know, just because I think with the length of your arm, I think you'd have a little bit of leverage. I mean, he obviously has elite power with this game of his.
Giant forearm,
yeah.
But no, I mean, I wouldn't want to arm wrestle because people snap their arms all the time. You see those terrible injuries. I'm like, I don't want to play those games.
You didn't have no problem arm wrestling me last year.
What's that?
No, he did.
You didn't have no problem arm wrestling me at Joe's on Week Street.
That's because you're weak. But anyway,
yeah, that's right. He had no problem. That's right. All right. Well, I just thought that was an interesting scene, and I was kind of wondering about that. So we learned a little bit about Travis Bagent there. My 3-year-old daughter submitted a note. I thought I'd share. She stayed quiet the entire episode, and all of a sudden she goes, "I just saw a puppy wearing sunglasses."
Great observation,
baby.
I think they were doing like the montage when they got to Kansas City. Was that right? And and they showed a dog wearing sunglasses, and that got the attention from the 3-year-old. This is a kid-friendly Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. That's what we've learned this season. Mm-hmm. Cool little moment between Caleb and Tyson Bagent, where Tyson was like, "I've learned a lot from you, man," and he was like, "I learned a lot from you," and I just thought that was a little subtle thing that you don't normally see. Private moment from the sidelines. That was cool. Nick, did you like that one?
Yeah, that was good. And also just the Caleb Williams, they were teaching like the intentional grounding, like, not skipping over any details. They showed I think the preseason game between the Vikings and Raiders, how they lost that game because of you didn't know how to spike the ball right. So just learning like the little things like that. Like they were learning about the refs and what episode was that, 1 or 2. So little things. They went out to the practice field, did it like, and Caleb went over to the sideline, was talking to the quarterback. This is how you do it to have a wider base and then, spike the ball. Like little things like that. You can't overlook them.
And in that scene where they're teaching them how to spike the ball, you can reportedly, Gary texted me and said you could see me and Gary in the background in the bleachers. So Gary made his Hard Knocks debut here tonight.
Big Gary.
Wow.
Congrats. Yeah. We did it. We did it. Mark Potash knows how excited we are when we see ourselves on Hard Knocks. And I want Potsy to know that we did it again. We're on Hard Knocks.
So, question for you guys: Who is the goofball in the Bears locker room? Do you guys know from being at practices or being around, like hearing?
I would say it's DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Okay, so he's like the funny guy, like jokester.
Yep.
Tyreek Stevenson's got a little bit of jokester in him too. When you get him and talk to him, and then Tevin's got his moments where he can be a little bit jokester.
Because when I play like Spice Adams, oh man, him and Peanut. Yeah. I mean, every practice, I don't know, Hoge, if you remember when we were in stretch lines, they would have like their freestyle session where Spice Adams would dance and do all this stuff, and he'd make a freestyle about what was going on in practice and this coach or that coach or this player. He is somebody, and Braggs, we had him on the show a while ago, and you guys surprised me, but he is one of my favorite teammates. Like literally, like when I was a rookie, you got coaches down your neck. You're trying to adjust to the speed, the strength of everybody, and you go through a dark place for a while. And I just remember like Spice Adams got me through practices, that training camp, because I remember just calling everybody like, man, this is tough. This is this. And just him joking and laughing and making it so much a better experience, like got me through training camp, like his joking. Like I just remember being upset about something, and then you see this goofball over here dancing and doing all this stuff, smacking himself in the stomach and dancing. Like it was awesome. I had some really, really great guys in the locker room, and I think it's not always like that. And that's why I always make these comparisons to some of the teams that I played a part for the Bears, because I think that's the mark when you have good older talent that really helps the younger players along. I think that's the mark, right? The older players, they're veteran guys. They've been there. They've done that. They're kind of showing the young bucks, hey, this is how you be a pro, right? This is how you do things. I think the same is what we're seeing with this Bears team, and it's really refreshing to see. And I'm excited for the year. I think they're every year Bears fans are excited. That's a common thing. But I think what they're building now is something special. They're putting all the pieces together, and this is the most talent I think the Bears have had offensively in a very long time. So it's set up for success. We know what the defense can do. It's going to be fun to watch this year. It really is. And, you talked about Die Hard and all that. Like, CHGO, what is going on here is unbelievable, right? I had a chance to go different places to cover the Bears this season. I wanted to be with you guys for a reason. And, everybody tuning in, I just want you to know that, like, love what they're building at CHGO, where the direction is going. And it's unbelievable to see. I said this before, doctors I work with in Missouri have been tuning in since day one. And they say, hey, man, I saw you on there. I see you with Bragg, I see you with Hoge, Nick, all these guys. And they love it. So it's just building such a great reputation. And I think the sky is the limit. So I wanted to be a part of this and looking forward to the season, man.
Let's go. Love it.
Hell yeah.
Well, we love that you're here. I mean, we're all really excited that you're going to be especially part of game day coverage. And we all can't wait for week 1. I wish, the only downside of this whole having one less preseason game deal is like, it just feels like it's forever between the last preseason game.
At least we get one more Hard Knocks, right? To bridge the gap.
Yeah.
That's true. College football here this Saturday. Woot, you guys just announced today your launch of the Big Ten show that we're going to be kicking off here at CHGO, right? I don't know if you want to give a quick shout out to that as well.
Exactly. Doing a Big Ten show with Joey Christopoulos, who I've done a podcast for the past 4 years with. Finally moved back to Chicago. He was from Chicago, was in LA for a while. So he's going to be in the studio doing that show and doing some other things behind the scenes as well. But yeah, Big Ten show coming soon. Crazy to think 18 teams now in the Big Ten. When I was in the Big Ten, there was 11 teams with Penn State. Penn State was the newest team back then, right? So it's crazy, but I think now what you see is the Big Ten and SEC. Those are the two power conferences, and you can make an argument that the Big Ten is a little bit more competitive. Who knows? So.
Yep,
Yeah,
and that's going to have its own, just like the 85 has its own separate channel. The Big Ten show will also have its own separate channel. So all you guys tuned in right now, all 1,200 of you, go over there, subscribe to the new channel. Corey, Joey, Sean, and some other guys are going to be breaking down the Big Ten 2 times a week on Mondays and Thursdays. So make sure you're tuned in for all of that. And that'll help bridge the gap here as we get to week 1. I really wanted to add real quick, because we're talking about who the funniest people on this team. I think this quarterback room is starting to make a bid for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
They have a real personality. It's a bunch of young guys in there, and I think Caleb's kind of waiting to assert himself as, more of the vocal leader on this team and really start to let his personality shine the way we saw it at USC. But you saw it last week when they were dropping bars on each other and bringing their rhymes to the table. And then you see Austin Reed at the end of the game giving a championship speech for their victory formation, talking about
that was awesome.
Remember the Patriots championship, and they'll never forget our 4-0 preseason. And you've really seen the personality with this quarterback room kind of come together, and I think that's been a lot of fun to watch.
100%.
Yeah, they have a great relationship.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. He's referencing the 85 Bears. Even when he was chasing down Velus Jones, I got the feeling, even when Austin Reed was talking to Cole Kmet last week on the 85, he kind of understood his role. He understood where he was. And you saw that, he was going to go out having fun in that game in Kansas City. And that was cool to see. And then he even shouted out Shane Waldron, in the middle of the game, just whatever happens, I'm glad you guys, invested in me. I thought that was cool.
And Hoge, you talked about having fun, and what I see with this team, because at the end of the day, right, football, it's obviously a serious game, especially when the season starts. You have to take it serious. Every game matters. But if you're not having fun out there, you're not having fun as a team, what are you doing at that point, right? Hey, listen, your preparation is what allows you to get dubs, to do exactly what you need to do. So I'm really looking forward to it, because what I see is they seem like they're playing freely. And that's what you want to see, because when people press and do all this, that's when people usually don't perform well. So I'm really looking forward to this first game. I really feel like they're going to have a strong performance on both sides of the football. And I think that would be huge for this Bears team and the confidence of Caleb Williams and just the team as a whole, because that first game is kind of like your litmus test. How do we stack up, right? Did we have the preparation during training camp and everything? So Tennessee, obviously everyone looks at it, it's an automatic win. They're going to come ready to go. They got some weapons there. They got a D tackle, Simmons, that's an absolute monster that we got to watch out for. They've been doing well. So I think this first game, everyone thinks it as an automatic win. I think they can if they do well, but this is going to be the first game, and then going into, especially with the second game with CJ Stroud and the Texans at NRG Stadium, which is going to be big. But I'm really looking forward to this Tennessee game, and actually having something matter, right? Where hey, this matters at this point. This is how they're going to start out the season.
Yep. Real quick, Hoge, and then we'll get to super chats. I know we're trying to close this night down. 3 shows here for us at CHGO Bears, and Hoge with the 85 this morning, and then our 53-man roster reveal show earlier this afternoon, and now here tonight for Hard Knocks After Dark. But my one note, and I'm not sure anybody's brought this up yet, but early on when they were breaking down the 53-man roster, Ian Cunningham kind of counting out who, each position group, I thought that was interesting. But then the one thing that I thought was notable was Ryan Poles, when he asked about the running back room, he asked the room, if you had to keep 3, who would it be? And I thought that was for sure going to be a Hoge note tonight, because was that somewhat of a reveal there? Because right now they have 4, but I'm pretty sure within the context of how they cut that scene, Ryan Poles says to the whole table, Eberflus, Ian Cunningham, everybody sitting there, if you had to keep 3, who would it be? And so they ended up keeping 4, and we all know that there's going to be some moves still to be made and people coming back to the roster from injury. So I thought maybe that was a tell on who might be the first odd man out if anybody else is to return to the 53 potentially.
Yeah, I just think that was, a test to the people in the room of who do you really feel like is separated. Because there's no world in which they were really only going to keep 3. But it's
but
almost
you have
like a tricky way of asking, hey, if we had to let one of these guys go, or maybe if a trade option became available, which guy would be expendable in your opinion? And I think it's just a matter of like kind of having the cream of the room rise to the top, if that makes sense,
Sure.
Because I think so much focus sometimes gets set on the guys at the bottom of the 53 when, like, honestly, you got to figure out on game day, who the hell's getting the ball in their hands, because that's what matters.
Right.
The ball.
Well, and Velas is one of your running backs, but he's listed in the wide receiver group. And as it was reported by Brad Biggs today, Kari Blasingame is expected to be brought back onto the roster. So I just thought it was certainly notable. Maybe it doesn't guarantee, but we're all kind of looking at Travis Homer as one of maybe 3 or 4 guys that might be that guy.
Real quick, the part I thought that was most interesting about that scene was that it said 10 days before roster cuts, and they had a 53.
Yep.
So why was it late today? Come on. That's
how you
bad. Come on. 10 days ago, you had it, and we had to wait till what, 50 minutes to do the show?
It's a good point. It's a good point.
It's a good point. And my final thought before we get to Super Chats, because I know some people have been talking about it, and
blame Larry Mayer.
And other people have been frustrated by maybe some of the post-game Hard Knocks coverage, with some other people being more negative about it. But one of the reactions I certainly have to this season now is that this is wholesome Hard Knocks. Like, this is the most wholesome Hard Knocks I've ever seen. And you can leave out the whole they're not swearing, but when Gervon Dexter laid out Ian Wheeler, there was a much bigger scrum than they showed with Montez Sweat goofing with the offensive line as it started to end. The scrum had ended. And then the very next rep that day of practice, there was a huge fight that broke out, a legitimate huge fight. And they didn't show that. And for me, you're doing a TV show. You're showing the funny. You're showing the pain. You're showing the sad. You're showing the happy. But you also have to show the angry and the brute force of these guys. And yeah, you show the Gervon Dexter hit, but I want to see these guys getting into it. I want to see who's back when everybody starts getting up each other like that. Like that's what training camp's all about. Kyle Long and Akeem Hicks fighting every year at camp. That's a rite of passage, that the season is now here. And I get that they don't want to put that stuff on full display, or maybe the Bears are being protective of that imagery. But at the same time, that is what football is all about. It doesn't make them bad people that they got into a scrap one day at practice. It just shows how competitive this team is. And I think for a lot of fans watching this, they're seeing the heart, they're seeing the wholesomeness, but football is about nastiness, and they're not really putting the nastiness on display. Like, we've seen some nastiness at camp, even from Caleb Williams getting in the face of DeMarcus Walker early in camp. So they're not showing that. And I think that's a layer that they're leaving out that to me would make for good television and get fans excited for this season.
Yeah, this isn't Dan Campbell's Hard Knocks. This isn't the Lions Hard Knocks from 2 years ago, and that part is evident. We saw tonight, and we already kind of knew this if you've been listening to enough interviews, that the old line room has a camera, and we haven't seen any of that. And I think we know why. Because that is not a wholesome room, okay? And I do think we've been somewhat robbed of what's been going on in what I think is one of the more interesting rooms in that entire building. And for us to only get the fact that Theo Benedict bought Clorox wipes instead of dude wipes.
What are we doing?
I'm glad they included that, but yeah, I think that all that it's fair. I don't think it's really about the swearing or not swearing. I think it's more about the stuff that we're not even getting to see at all because of some of the parameters that have been put on this thing. This is But I think we shouldn't be surprised. This is probably what you thought you were going to get if the Bears ever got on Hard Knocks.
Yep.
And this
It's going
is
to be
what
their
we're
way.
getting.
You can't show
their
the
way.
O-linemen. O-linemen are the weirdest, nastiest dudes. And all they do is dip spit all day. They always have their dip bottles. That's all they do is they're just nasty dudes, you know. And then they retire, and then they're 190 pounds after that.
Yeah.
Lose all the weight.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, they go one way or the other on that one. My final note of the night is I just thought it was cool to see Chris Jones go out of his way to shout out Caleb at the end of that game. And then I even thought it was more notable that Travis Kelce had like kind of meaningful comments for Flus and like seemed to be respecting the hell out of what he's seen on Hard Knocks and maybe what he's heard from Cole Kmet and others. I just thought that was an interesting moment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it just speaks. Do you think Travis Kelce went up to Matt Eberflus after week 4 last year or week 3 when,
when they got their ass kicked?
When they got pummeled,
Good
it was like,
game.
hey, man, you're doing some really good things. Love what you. No, I mean, they were in a totally different space at that point. And now fast forward to almost a whole year later and look at how much the culture, to your point, Woot, has shifted here. They've got a lot to prove here in the regular season. And we get, this is the hype machine here. We're all very excited for the season, and there's really no reason to be overly negative about anything going into this year. But at the same time, there's tangible evidence to be excited for this team from the camaraderie, from the talent, from what we're seeing on the football field and off it here on Hard Knocks. So it's justified. And I think national people are noticing it. I think players around the league are noticing it. You heard when Walker came in from Seattle, he's like, I was excited to come here. Montez Sweat just made a comment about, man, I had to get out of Washington. I had to go somewhere where I could feel like I'm going to win. And I think people would be like, well, wait a minute, the Bears. But that's his experience so far here in Chicago. They were competitive in the second half of the season. So that's his experience so far with the Bears. And it's much different than what we've been going through here since the last time the Bears won a playoff game when Woot was still playing. So it's been a minute, and we're excited for the Bears to turn that corner, but it seems like the evidence is there that they're going to.
Mark Potash just tweeted, looking forward to seeing next week's gripping finale of HBO's Leave It to Beaver. All right,
I get it, but
we've handled that. I just wanted to share Potsy's quick tweet because it's a Potsy's moment. All right, let's get to super chats. We'll fly through these and close out for what's been a really long day. Bear Down Omaha, $2. Hard Knocks made my wife cry. Well, it made me cry too. So
that was the theme.
Yeah, Johnny. Okay. Johnny, $4.99. I haven't heard any.
Say it.
It's principal sayings this year. Did Flus give it up? No, he hasn't.
His name was Johnny Flings Poo. All right. For those of you listening on the podcast, and Hoge refused to read it. He doesn't want to say poo on an After Dark podcast, but I get shit for not saying fucking on a podcast.
Oh, thanks.
Marco TA, $50. Tearjerker Travis Bagent needed his own HBO special. Tough day for a lot of guys with dreams unrealized. On to the regular season and the Super Bowl. 3:10 a.m. and hyped.
Let's go.
Mark never sleeps. We appreciate you, Mark. He sleeps less than Braggs does. Gritty, $2. The QB room cuts suck. The camaraderie was great. Yeah. One of them will be back on the practice squad. Zero Demon, $5. Bagent thanking Caleb for how much he's learned from him, and Caleb saying the same back made me smile so big. Yeah, I thought that was a cool moment. 100%. Bradley Haas jumping in with a $5 donation. Thank you very much.
Assy, you're going to get it right one day.
Oh, yeah. One of these days. Ross V Dog 44, $5. I'm entertained. Braggs is in good form tonight.
Got you, Ross Dog.
Kelly, Dr. Bunny in the house, $10. Hi, Corey. Always love when you're on. Oh, and hey to you other guys too, I guess. See you in Phoenix.
What's up, Kelly?
We're the other guys.
Mark again, $1.99. Greatest show, boys. At 4 a.m.
Heaven.
Appreciate you, Mark.
Yeah, there you go. Another one from Mark 499. Great show, boys. Even at 4 a.m., YouTube comments interface screws up the text.
Yeah, I thought it was heaven at 4 a.m. That would have been more nice.
Hopefully Mark's not like sleepwalking or sleep texting and just give us all these super chats at 4 a.m. Who knows?
And then Kelly with one more $5. Sorry about the knees, Greg. I broke my foot in a marathon and injuries suck. Listen to Corey about leg arm day and these things won't happen.
Been talking to him about it for a while. Those freaking arms that he has are, oh my gosh. I don't know how you ever wear a cutoff shirt with those things. Bro, it's embarrassing, dude.
Okay. Get them out of your system now, because when the season starts, we're gonna lock into football. All right.
Exactly. Look at those arms.
Are we, Greg?
Hey.
Yeah, we are. Unless
Hey.
you let Corey and Carm turn this into a joke on Greg's show.
Hey, Nick, so you're into working out. Maybe you can influence this guy, because what he did was go to the gym for a while and stood by the treadmill, not sweating, make a video in the morning. And he's like, I'm working so hard. Like, I see Nick after his workouts. Yeah, we kicked him out. Was actually sweating. Braggs went to the, I go to the YMCA and I see a lot of older people there, and there's a coffee machine right when you first walk. They give free coffee, right? So a lot of the older seniors go in there and they talk. They'll basically act like they're gonna work out, but that's what Braggs
your
does.
social club. Yeah.
So Braggs goes there for the social club. He doesn't work out.
Hi, Greg.
You done?
Oh, there we go.
I want to stay down.
Yeah, just like his arms, small.
Little Greg. All right, guys, I need to go to bed. It's been fun. Big day tomorrow too. The 85 with Cole Kmet, brand new episode dropping in the morning. Braggs and Nick are gonna have the show tomorrow evening. I think we're aiming for a 6 o'clock show. There's a practice tomorrow, and Ryan Poles is talking to the media. I'm hoping to have a small window with you guys to jump on too, with thoughts from Ryan Poles' press conference. So we'll see if we can make that happen. But I will be at practice tomorrow as well. So 6 o'clock show tomorrow, Thursday back at noon, Friday back at noon, and then we're into week 1, just like that.
Boom.
Let's go.
Appreciate everyone being here tonight. CHGO Hard Knocks After Dark, powered by ComEd. See you guys tomorrow.
Braggs flex her.
End the show.
We all silly like the mayor.